Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Friday to you and your family. We're taking a look here, of course, at Terra Classic, seeing what's going on, helping you understand best practice and big picture, but also taking a quick look at the descending type of trend that we have here, and if there's potential for us to break this trend. So far, we're holding strong to the downside, but there is a great chance that with today's bounce, we have a decent amount of potential for upside. And I'll explain more about that and other indicators we're going to look at to help us understand the big picture. So if you are new to the channel, just bear this in mind. I'm not a financial advisor. I truly do love people and love teaching people how to trade as well. So if you do have interest in pursuing becoming a better trader, CryptoCash.tech is a website, link in the description below. I offer a trading academy, community, and signal group where we all learn and grow together. And it's just fantastic. I take my 16 years of experience and basically just help my graduates succeed. And it's been really awesome to be able to get some people to finish their program and effectively do very well for themselves. So good job and congratulations to you. Also, if you want to do much better with your trading experience, I highly recommend BitGet. They do have a promotion right now for the next couple of months, whereas you can essentially benefit from a significant bonus if you're to transfer funds over and actually trade volume. So again, the key here is that you do have to technically trade once you start your account, but it's an awesome format. My US residents do not need a VPN, and they have an option to be able to use futures without any type of KYC. So it's awesome, awesome situation there. I think Canada and a handful of other countries as well have that benefit. So that's just something to consider, big picture. Take a look at that in your own time. So here's the thing with Terra Classic. As we talked about yesterday, the price is descending and we're in a descending type of trend. You can see this trend line here essentially of where it's at and currently what's going on. Because with the bottom line here is that the price wicked all the way down to 24,000 yesterday. Okay, now that's right in this volume range support that we have, right between 24 and 29,000. Okay, so the price action I expect the price to kind of stick in that range for a little while. It'd be nice to do that actually, so we can have more volume support at that level and then have the price action increase. Because volume does speak very loud as far as support is concerned, so just keep in mind, if we were to lose 24,000 or just this little channel here, essentially between 24 and 29, we could very well see a big range here between 16 and 24 get filled, right? So in other words, there's not a lot of volume in this area. The price just gapped up pretty much, and essentially there's no option for for any support below that level, right? So we want to make sure we hold 24,000 and potentially just stay below 30,000 as a round number to kind of allow the price to consolidate sideways for some time. But let's take a look at TD sequential here. We can kind of see that, obviously we were overextended previously, and sometimes coins like this that break through a key level resistance and just continue to go parabolic for a little while, they have a tendency of essentially just continuing higher, right? Obviously, with it hitting a 9 previously and continuing further from there, you could effectively say this was a second 9, right? So you can count this out. Pretty much 9 extra candles went to the upside. So if you take a look at that, you kind of think about it, when the price action is continuing to increase like that, it became overexhausted. It became extremely overextended, okay? To the downside, we want to consider the same scenario here. In other words, hypothetically, we've had 6 days worth of continuation to the downside, and that is putting us at a point in which we could experience a bounce. Again, we need to have, I would say, another couple more days in this range to give us that 7, 8, 9, and then potentially continue up higher from there. Okay. So again, TD sequential is just a nice, really a good thing of kind of helping you indicate the overextension to whichever direction. It was obviously overextended to the upside. This correction makes perfect sense, but how much lower is it going to go? Well, hypothetically, it should hold at this volume support, right? That's kind of what we're getting at. All right, so that's kind of just the big picture volume scenario there. Let's take a look at some moving averages and see. We do have the 50-day moving average working its way up. Traditionally, the 50-day SMA on the daily is a very strong support level. Okay, so in most cases, we should experience that working as a support. It will take a little while for it to average itself out higher, and obviously depends on what the price action does to control that. But for lack of better terms, the 50-day SMA should continue to work its way up slowly and provide extra support if we were to lose this level at 24,000. Okay, so the sky isn't falling if we lose 24,000, but that would be like our only other support minus the previous resistance levels at 14/16,000. Right in that range. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there for Terra Classic. Take a look here at the RSI. This is a positive thing here. I mentioned yesterday, as long as we get a bounce off 50 on the RSI, we could be in good shape. And in this case, it does look like we're holding here. Because again, 50 on the RSI is a very strong support level and or resistance depending on which side you're on. Right now, we're above it still, and that's a positive sign, implying that this average, the relative strength the last 14 days, is holding strong at this level. Okay, and that's a very positive thing. In most cases, that works out favorably. So in that sense, we are in decent shape. The MACD doesn't look great, but you got to understand that this here, as long as this next oscillator essentially closes lower, or this next bar, you could say, as long as it continues lower, we should be in good shape. And again, it will do that if the price goes sideways or up from here, right? So again, mostly positive here on the daily. And then what we want to look at here, of course, is this trend line. So if you can see this trend line, let's go ahead and pull this off. In fact, I'll just delete this for the moment so you can see. As you can see, of course, this trend line is continuing to progress lower, right? They're basically lower highs. We have lower highs, and lower highs, right? Well, good news is, and again, this is very premature, but the fact of the matter is that the price action is holding here, and it hasn't broken below this trend line yet, or get rejected at the trend line, and that's a positive sign. And in fact, the more often you test the trend line and or resistance level, the more likely it is to break. It can only hold for so long. So the fact that it's held for quite some time here, we're looking at upwards of about a week and a half, we can see that these higher lows, or sorry, yeah, lower highs are essentially discontinuing. Again, not guaranteed. This could very well dump tomorrow or in the next couple of hours, but generally speaking, for right now, this is a positive sign to kind of break above that little trend. Okay, so again, that's just kind of what we're looking at there. Definitely good stuff in the overall sense of things. We're still under 50 on the RSI, so not fantastic. We haven't really established much of a higher lows situation yet, but they are present. Okay, and that's a good transitionary thing. As I mentioned yesterday, if you're going to break a descending trend, you look for higher lows. That's the most important thing to identify. We can see higher lows are forming, and that is a positive thing here. That should essentially put us in a position to continue the price action higher. Okay, so again, that's essentially where we're at there. And then of course we got a MACD convergence on the 4 hour, which really just kind of implies that in the last short amount of time here, the 12 to 26 day period, or moving average day period, of course, these are exponential moving averages, is essentially telling us that we have that shift in momentum. Okay, so that's positive. We truly haven't seen that in some time. So again, doesn't necessarily mean the price is going to shoot up, but it definitely helps us understand that we're potentially on the right side of the tracks, and the 4 hour time frame is looking mostly positive. Last thing, but not least, of course, the 200-day set moving average working its way up. That should work as a support level and average itself out right around 24,000 as well. So again, we got a handful of reasons why 24,000 should be the lowest, right? We'll see here soon, of course, but that is essentially where we're at. One last thing to look at is the 1 hour, kind of help identify here, and once again, just kind of bring us to your attention. We do have the higher lows. It is struggling to make higher highs, but that's okay for now. Oftentimes it'll work itself into a wedge, and you'll see this ascending pattern breakout to the upside. That could very well happen and should happen based on the way that it's kind of progressing. Again, unless we see a massive dump, we should experience the price action to break through this little resistance level at about 29,900, or just say round number 30,000. So 30,000 seems to be a slight point of contention here, and we can go ahead and see that it's worked as a resistance level previously. All right, so that is good news there in that overall sense. Let's go ahead and just draw out these trend lines here for later. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Okay, so again, mostly good stuff there in that sense. As far as TD sequential is concerned, we can see we hit a 9 here previously. I identified that yesterday. We had 2 9s in a row, so likelihood of a pullback is great. And then of course we see the 7 here, and then down to a 6. So it's just kind of, it keeps getting rejected at that level. So had it hit a 9, it probably would have continued further. Instead, it got rejected into the downside. And that's okay. That's pretty normal stuff. Again, we're making higher lows. That's the important thing. So the hourly does look fantastic in that regard. Not extremely fantastic though, just keep this in mind, we're not above the cloud yet. So again, the price action continues to progress sideways here and up. We'll inevitably be above the cloud. Conversion line would be above the baseline eventually, or correction, a conversion line above the baseline here, and then obviously the lagging span would be free and clear of price action at that point. And those are just 3 different things we look for. So, if you're curious about how the cloud works, I've got a video on my trading academy, and of course, I think I also have a public video too describing that. And it's important to understand how this works because it's like a very, very good indicator that helps you understand if you're on the right side of the tracks. And we're not quite there yet. We don't have confirmation per se, but we're getting there. Okay, so I'd say another 12 hours, if the price action is still trending right around 29, then it would be a likelihood of the price action breaking higher. Okay, as long as we're not making lower lows, we're in good shape. Okay, we're making higher lows for right now, and that's a positive thing. If we continue to make them, we'll inevitably break through this trend and continue higher. Okay, so I think we're about 12 to 24 hours away from a breakout, and I think that Terra Classic's looking pretty good right now. So all things considered, short-term and mid-term are looking good. We're just still under this descending trend line, so to speak, because again, 2 hours into a breakthrough, a descending trend isn't enough confirmation that I like to look for. I'd like to see a 12 to 24 hour period above and beyond that. So the one-day candlestick close solidly above this descending trend line would be excellent, and that would allow for us to essentially continue to leg up from here. I'd also like to see the price action above the cloud, not within, because typically right now when you're within the cloud, it's something that you want to kind of avoid trading until you have confirmation on either up or down. Okay, so key takeaway here is that if you have a short position, you should have closed it a long time ago, because the lagging span intersect with the price action and the conversion line is already back up above the baseline. So those are mostly positive signs for a long. All right. I hope this made sense to you, and obviously you learned a little something here today. If so, comment below, let me know. Obviously as well, feel free to follow me on social media. All that stuff is available here on my website and the comments down below. Furthermore, of course, you want to become a better trader, I recommend using BitGet. Tremendously awesome experience. They have a fantastic exchange, and it works very, very good for leverage, especially in the US without a VPN. Be sure to check that out. Again, this promotional benefit's only available for the next couple of months, so make sure to take advantage of that. It's a really good opportunity. All right, well, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one.